to give the opening remarks.
Thank you, Enoch. My name is Mitchell Ambasu Ayeta. I'm the Field Coordinator, KAKUMA Operations for Refugee Consortium of Kenya. I am pleased to give the opening remarks. But first, I want to appreciate the guests who honored our invitation by recognizing the national government through the Department of Refugee Services. Thank you, Acting Deputy Camp Manager and Head of Registration, Karen. I would also wish to recognize the county government through the Office of the County Attorney, Wakili, Ms. Ruth Manikor. I would also wish to recognize the Chief Officer, Prevention from the county government. I would wish also to recognize our long-standing partners, County Assembly of Turkana. I see my friend Patrick Tioko, Director of Legislative Services. I see Pius Eton, Director Hansard. I know I've seen Wilson somewhere, and also the Secretariat led by Immaculate. I wish also to recognize the representatives from the other arms of government, that's Ministry of Health. I know we had the KAKUMA municipality. I believe also the representation will be here. I wish to also recognize the partners. I know UNHCR is on the way, but also other partners that have been working with us, Kenya Red Cross, the very key partners, especially in the RRP program. We have DRC, the Danish Refugee Council, who also a key partner within the consortium. I would also like to recognize Humanity Inclusion, a very key partner within the sector. I wish also to recognize Norwegian Refugee Council, Israel. We also have Swiss Contact. We also have JRS. We have Water Mission, Girl Power Action. Just to name a few, I think, in case I have not mentioned your specific entity, either from the national county, please accept our sincere appreciation on behalf of RCK. I would also wish to recognize the media team, that is Turkana TV. I think you've been working with us from yesterday, and we're doing another session, very important session today. The online participants, you know, in this day and age right now, we have the virtual hybrid. So we also have participants online, so karibuni sana. So on behalf of RCK, we had this session running from yesterday. We had very wonderful remarks from the various representatives. So mine will not be to belabor the point, but again, just to welcome you once again to this second day initiative. Within the IRRP program, that is Inclusive Refugee Response Framework, we are trying to ensure how do we promote access to or awareness on some of the basic services, that is education, water, and health. And of course, within the generous support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from Denmark, it is what has enabled us to be here today to have this fireside discussion, because we look at a scenario what if the national and county policies are inclusive, then it would mean they would have a platform to implement and promote the aspect of access to services that is on those key thematic areas. We appreciate also that in any particular good initiative, it starts with a consultative process. And this is one of those delivery pathways where we're getting feedback from the end user, going from the right holder to the duty bearers. And then, of course, the conversation moves to law, legal regulatory frameworks, and also policy influencing, at the same time to lawmaking. And thereafter, we will have the implementation, which, of course, at one particular point, looking at the conversations yesterday, there was aspect of how does the law relate to the implementation, what are some of the teething challenges, what are some of the opportunities, and we're able to appreciate and understand that within all this feedback loop, At one particular point, you might be the right holder. At one particular point, you might be the duty bearer. But such conversations, candid conversations, I think for us, I want to appreciate that within the guests or participants, we've been able to have that enriched discussion. And I'm looking forward for this particular day so that within the end of the day, we are hoping to come up with practicable solutions or action plan so that the ones that would require maybe the legislation or policy angle, then we are able to make that pledge and say, perhaps this one, the legislation aspect can cover. The ones that require maybe us to have that behavior change in terms of providing service delivery or maybe increasing the awareness on what we're able to provide, I think we'll be able to also agree, and then we spread the gospel. So I think this is one opportunity. I want to thank also the organization that is RCK for giving also our colleagues from Nairobi to come and support us, because we continue working as a team. It's not in silos, but I think with this conversation, it helps enrich it. So with those many few remarks, karibuni sana to the day 2 session, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to have a meaningful engagement. Your opinion in any way matters, and let us encourage each other to participate by the end of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yesterday we had a very successful and fruitful discussion on matters to do with water and health. And I'd like my colleague Sifuna to come and just give us a brief recap for the benefit of those who were not present yesterday. And as she comes, we'll have a slight change in our program to accommodate new developments. So the panel discussion will come immediately after the technical presentation. There is a slight change. The panel discussion will come after the technical presentation. Thank you so much.
And for the benefit of those who are not there yesterday, we had a conversation on inclusive service delivery when it comes to the right to water and the right to health. And we know how those two fundamental rights flow into today's session. So we would like to maybe highlight the key comments that were made from yesterday's deliberations. And of importance was one, we mentioned the conversations are aware and the community's attitudes towards even protecting their own rights is known. So for example, we talked in depth about vandalism when it comes to access to water. We talked about vandalism and the reasons why it's important that our interventions also include creation of awareness and creation of even committees that include people from the community, so that there's that community ownership, so that they are able to have that sustainable view on how to access water. We had conversations along the lines of transition. So as we know, under Shirika Plan and KISEDEP, there's that movement from control of resources and assets by the humanitarian groups to government-led leadership. And for transition, we mentioned that first of all, in most sectors, the transition has begun, but there are those teething problems that exist. And some of the solutions that were provided for the teething problems with transitioning were, for example, having a standard policy on how that transition is going to happen. And Kenya Red Cross was hailed for having one of the transition policies of their own, but we are hoping there'll be a general one for all humanitarian actors as they enter into Turkana County. And that we mentioned was in line with the Turkana County Local Content Act that is currently in place. We also mentioned the issue of documentation and how it lays at the heart of most of the issues of access. The Department of Refugee Services, as well as the UNHCR, was able to shed light on how some of these challenges of documentation can be handled. For instance, when we're talking about documentation, we mentioned that the refugee ID is required to register for services such as SHA. And DRS provided some of the challenges that they face, but also encouraged us to tell the community to go collect their cards, for example, and just to raise awareness on the importance of having a refugee ID for documentation. Other than that, we also spoke about matters to do with partnership, and I will not belabor that point because our Chief Officer of Partnerships will go right into it, and the importance of collaboration. As we said, each one of us, as we sit here, at any given point, you might be both a right holder and a duty bearer. So that is the question that we hope remains in your mind as we go into today's topic on education and inclusive education, moving from just plain access to actually having quality education services. Who is the right holder and who is the duty bearer? So I'd like us to segue into education now, and some of the challenges that rolled in from yesterday, like for example, we know children can't go to school consistently if there's a problem to do with water. And we know, for example, maybe I'll jump the gun. There's a request for water tanks, for example, at the schools, at the public schools being run. So we can see how even having access to water affects how people are able to, or children are able to access education. So for today, in short, we'll be looking at the government leadership in inclusive education. We'll look at the school level implementation experiences drawn from the implementing NGOs, the county and national government, as well as the RLOs and the representatives from the host community that are available to give the lived experiences. We'll also be addressing some of the barriers to access and quality, and community engagement, and how access to education, access to quality education builds on social cohesion. And lastly, we'll be looking at maybe some of the opportunities, giving the floor to the stakeholders to tell us if there are any opportunities that we may not have been aware of. And we'll finish the session by having group work, and group work will be focused specifically on access by persons with disability, access by women, and access by youth. So how can we strengthen this? And the session will include both education, water and health sectors, so that we put an intentional effort at making sure that people are not left behind as we push for the right to access to water, health and education. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So for this session, we go straight away to technical presentation. And the topic of the day is inclusive education service delivery. So I'll first call upon a representative from the County Director of Education.
Protocols already established. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. God is good and all the time. Salam alaikum. Yeah. I'm Florence Lokale Minyan, representing the County Director of Education and County Director of TSC. I'm an education officer in charge of Turkana West as a curriculum support officer and also the current acting TSC sub-county director, Turkana West. I'm not going to, I've been given a short time, and we are looking at inclusive education service delivery. And under that, we are looking at how refugee learners have been integrated into the national education system. And that is the role of the Minister of Education and also Teacher Service Commission on the side of teacher deployment. Education is a right to every child or every learner and also every person. Education is a fundamental right to every person, regardless of age, regardless of race, regardless of disability or ability. So every person is entitled to quality and accessible education. Refugee learners have been integrated into national systems, and this one promotes equity and also sustainability. Kenya has shifted from parallel camp-based schooling to inclusion within public schools. If you realize in Turkana West or in Kenya generally, refugee learners are integrated or are included in the public institutions, either in early primary education, secondary education, universities or tertiaries. Refugee learners have not been left behind. They are all included in education. And Kenya's integration approach is supported by some legal and policy frameworks. That is, we have Basic Education Act, which stipulates that every person has a right to free and compulsory basic education. We also have the Refugee Act, which guarantees refugees access to education. And also we have policies by the Ministry of Education of Kenya. We also have international obligations through UNHCR and global refugee frameworks. These are some of the legal and policy frameworks that that align or that talk about education and also integration of refugee learners. Here we say integration means refugee learners enroll in public schools, and also they use national curriculum. And the current curriculum that is in place is the competency-based curriculum, which entitles that all learners be brought on board. The learning pedagogies or the learning experiences should be learner-centered. And these refugee learners, they sit for national exams, all the national exams. That is the early year exams, the KPSEA, the KJSEA, the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, and many others. And they are also included in the government education planning and financing. Like we have a program, or we have a program called SEKIP or KPIL, whereby all schools, the public and the refugee or camp schools, are all provided with their equal opportunities for financing and education. Integration matters a lot because it promotes equity, it ensures quality assurance. Like when we are doing assessment, we don't leave out camp schools. We do assessment in all the camp and host schools. We don't leave camp schools behind. It also reduces duplication of services. It enhances sustainability. In case maybe this program comes to an end, how can the program be sustained or be able to continue? And it also strengthens social cohesion. We have some service delivery components which includes curriculum integration. And as I said, refugee learners follow their competency-based curriculum, that is CBC or CBE, which is competency-based education. And this curriculum is overseen by the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, which is responsible for development and also ensuring that the instructional materials that are being used are to the expected standards. And we emphasize on competencies. Under this CBC, we emphasize on competencies, that is citizenship, communication, critical thinking, self-efficacy. We also have learning to learn. We also have digital literacy. And also we have core values, whereby we want all these learners, both in the host communities and the refugee learners, to acquire or to develop requisite core values and core competencies to enable this learner in future to be self-reliant. And we also say CBC supports learner-centered inclusion, that during delivery of the content, the learner has to be given an opportunity, 100% opportunity to participate in the learning process. On the side of teacher deployment and support, we are the government. The TSC and the Ministry of Education takes part in recruitment of the teachers deployed by the camp, by the agencies that are in charge of education in the camp. And also we do teacher capacity building by training these teachers on the new reforms or education reforms, such as the CBE and CBC, and also CBA, that is competency-based assessment, whereby we inform them and we train them about various forms or various components of assessment, various forms of assessment tools that they need to be used during assessment. The ministry also ensures that school infrastructure and resource allocation is put in place, whereby the standardized structure of classrooms are used in the refugee hosting areas, because one of the challenge in the camp schools is large numbers. You find that maybe one grade has almost 4 or 6 streams. And because of financial constraints, we have a shortage of teachers, and this one also contributes to low performance of the teacher and also the learner, because the teacher cannot be able to take responsibility of the large classes. I also said assessment and certification. Refugee learners sit for national exams, and also these exams or assessment is aligned with national standards to ensure quality control. Like during the national examinations, maybe like KPSEA, that is Kenya Primary School Examination Assessment, KJSEA, and also KCSE, we bring all teachers on board. We take them through briefing so that they may be able to conduct the monitoring and also supervision and invigilation of exams as expected by the policy. We have challenges in service delivery. We have high people-teacher ratios that I've already said. We also have language barriers. Language barriers, both from the side of teachers and also learners. There is that communication barriers whereby the teacher and the learner cannot maybe don't understand each other. We also have documentation gaps or record keeping. There is psychosocial trauma, because we know these learners come from diverse communities or nationalities, and so they are exposed to psychosocial problems or trauma, so they need to be really supported through guidance and counseling and also psychosocial support. And also we have financial constraints and also community tensions. You realize that maybe the host and the refugee community don't understand each other, and also the refugee communities also sometimes don't understand each other. They have problems like wars, intercommunal clashes. And also how we can strengthen this integration, maybe I can say we have to give clear guidelines and also inclusion of these learners in the national AMIS data system, which already is in place. These learners are have been assessed, and also they are in the data, in the NAMIS data. And then budget allocation for refugee learners and decentralized planning at the county level, which is in place. And also enhancing teacher capacity through continuous professional development, teacher mentoring systems, deployment of bilingual teachers, and also inclusive pedagogy training for the teachers. Community and stakeholder collaboration. Integration works when host communities are engaged. So anytime there is maybe an issue, the two communities have to be brought on board so that everything is in place. And then the refugee parents need to be brought on board also to participate in decision making. And the board of management schools should support inclusion. The NGOs complement government efforts. That's why we have a number of non-governmental organizations that support education in the refugee hosting sub-county. We also have indicators of effective integration through monitoring and evaluation. We've realized that if we integrate these refugee learners, which is already in place, we realize that we have increased enrollment rates. We also have improved attendance. There is reduced dropout, although not 100%, but there is an improvement. There is improved learning outcomes, because when teachers are capacity built, they expedite this to learners, so we realize improved learning outcomes. There is also positive school climate, because teachers, the principals of these schools have been sensitized about child-friendly schools or child-friendly environments, so that these learners perform their learning in a positive and friendly environment. We also have increased transition to secondary and tertiary education through the scholarships, the Elimu scholarship, the Jomo Kenyatta Foundation scholarship. All these refugee learners are brought on board, and they are involved, or they have been provided these services. I think that is the much that I have for now. We will share a lot, yeah. And just to add, in the refugee setting, we have 27 primary schools, which the ministry and TAC is also in charge, whereby we have 21 in KAKUMA refugee and 6 in Kalobeyei settlement. We also have accelerated education programs, centers that is for overage or aged learners. And we have 12 centers, whereby we have 8 centers in the camp and 4 centers in the host community. Thank you so much for listening.
Clap for the director once more. Thank you for the valuable insights. For now, at this moment, I'd like to call the county attorney to give her remarks. She addressed us yesterday. We once again request your education. Never tire, Wakili.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Good morning once again. Yeah. For those who might not, for the benefit of those who might not have been there yesterday, my name is Ruth Emanikor. I am the County Attorney, Turkana. We've been requested to speak on, since we have limited time, I'll go straight to the discussion. We've been requested to speak on inclusivity of education for both Turkana and host communities and the role of the county government of Turkana. And for us, we are trying to say from policy to practice, so that if I try to give the context of the whole thing, we would start by looking at the supreme law of the land. What does it say? What does the Constitution say? When you look at Article 43(1)(f), sub-article 1(f), as my brother yesterday had alluded to, we are saying that it guarantees a right to education. Further to Article 53, sub-article 1(b), it also guarantees every child a right to free and compulsory basic education. Then we go to Article 54(1)(b). It guarantees PWDs have access. It says guarantees PWDs access to educational institutions through integrated facilities. Finally, not finally actually, I still have two more. Article 56 also speaks of affirmative action. I think we can just take note and maybe just go through it later at our own time. And Article 55 also obligates the state to put in place measures and programs to ensure that youth have access to education and training. Now, when you come to the national legislation, because we always have to start with the supreme law of the land, we come to the Basic Education Act. And my colleague who was just speaking also, I think, spoke of the same. When you look, it says that it provides on pre-primary, primary, and secondary education, being the basic education. And just for our own benefit, these are usually the functions. Apart from the pre-primary, the primary and secondary education is normally a function of the national government. Then we have the Children's Act, placing the best interest of the child at its center. Further, reaffirms the right of a child to education. So those are like the Constitution. Then we have that particular act. Then now we come down to the Refugee Act, which speaks about education. When we look at Section 28, it guarantees that every child has a right, including the right to education. Like every refugee has a right, including the right to education. Section 34, sharing of institutions, facilities, and spaces, which goes for educational institution. Then Section 35 requires consideration of refugees matters in development plans. And for our case in Turkana, we would clearly state the fact that this has been provided for in our CADP. I believe the same is in KIS and Shirika plan. Now, Schedule 4 of the Constitution clearly states, or rather provides for what are the functions of the county government in as far as education is concerned. And one of it is pre-primary education, and I believe we are all aware of the many ECD centers that the county government has placed all over the county. Then we talk of the village polytechnics. We have how many? I think we have now 8 TVETs in Turkana County. which are being fully supported by the county government. And of course, with my, as I continue to present, I will clearly state the fact that these are institutions that are integrated. It allows both the hosts and the refugee community to be able to be part of it, whether it's within KAKUMA or anywhere within the county. In Turkana County, we have come up with something called the Turkana County ECDE policy. We have been able to pass it at the cabinet, and currently it's almost, I think, done and finalized. It's at this assembly, county assembly level, just for purposes of it being adopted, you know, for them to give their inputs and adopt it. This provides for the operations and management of ECD centers at the county. We also have something called TechDemis, and I think somebody mentioned it yesterday, which is a system that provides for data collection and management of ECDs in the county. As the policy awaits approval, the structures under this policy are currently fully operational and supported by the county government of Turkana. The school feeding program guidelines is also a document that we do have. The county government has about 1,157 ECD centers, and 578 of them were built by the county government of Turkana. It is at the CIDP. 46 ECD centers are still underway. It's in the planning. Then we also have this information we got from our education officers. We also have about 101 number of ECD centers alone in Turkana West. And that only shows how effective some of these centers are to both the host communities and the refugees. And as I'd said, this does not deter any refugees who is within Turkana to go and study in any ECD center located within Turkana. It's imperative to note that the attendance in this institution is not restrictive, but inclusive. The county has an annual budget that distributes food to ECD centers across the county for learners to encourage them to enroll and come and learn. County legislations that we have enacted in 2023 with the support of the county assembly is something called the Turkana County Education Fund Act, along with its regulation, which is an effective document. As I'd said, that functions of the county government is limited under Schedule 4 of the Constitution. But through this act and through something called the Intergovernmental Partnership Agreement, we've been able to support functions of the national government. And by this I mean that we have time and again, through this fund, been able to provide bursaries to be able to educate children in secondary schools, colleges, universities. And this is something that the national government has been fighting us, but we've tried to find a way of collaborating and working together. So the Act provides for framework for funding, the realization of the right to education, and the residents of Turkana County. The eligible persons are granted bursaries and scholarship. The Act defines, and this is very important, that an eligible person as a natural person whose ancestral origin is within the county and a resident of the county for the last 3 years. I know we've hosted refugees in this county for more than 3 years, so they qualify. And I can also speak as someone who has sat in the board that has been supplying these funds when I was a solicitor some 2 years ago. And I confirm that we actually gave bursaries to quite a number of refugees because they qualified. They applied and they qualified, and we gave them those bursaries. And they are currently beneficiaries of that. Both the refugees, as I've just said, have also benefited from the same. I had also mentioned that currently we have a legal actually there's a matter in court whereby the COB took the county governments to court to stop the issuance of the bursaries, but we have been able to reach through the Council of Governors. And our governors, especially from the northern parts of Kenya, have actually made an argument to the president and an appeal that these are hardship areas whereby you cannot, not all children can be able to, afford school, school fees, especially at the secondary, university, and college levels. And reasons as to why we would therefore request that the county government, wherever they can, be able to support such schools. On polytechnics, the data is as follows, that we have 8, I think they're called TVETs, not polytechnics, in the county, TVETs, and 1 polytechnic currently in Lodwar. For Turkana West, it has 1 Lokichogyo, I think Lokichogyo VCTs. Do we have 1 in Kakuma? Do we have something in Kakuma, for those in Kakuma? So there's 1 in Lokichogyo. In Turkana West, the existing polytechnics include those built by DRS and faith-based education institutions under the umbrella of Don Bosco. There are 2 Don Bosco's VCTs. Is that a fact? Yeah? And in the refugee camp, the same thing. The attendance of these polytechnics are not restrictive, they are inclusive. We have seen integration in education through enrollment of willing hosts and refugee communities. Just for the record, I think even there was a pronouncement by the president himself that the HELP, the Higher Education Loans Board, needs to strongly support students who would want to enroll themselves in VTCs, so that people can, if you're not able to make it to the university, you can build whatever skill that you have and be able to use it as something that can, bring some income or, income generating activity. I would also wish to take note of this fact that there is something called Kalobeye Automotive Garage. This was handed over to the county government of Turkana, I think last year, but 1, by the UN Women. And it's about to be operationalized. Actually, we are on the initial stages of, allowing someone who can operationalize it to come. The importance about this is it will greatly impact both refugees and host communities, because it's somewhere along this road between Lokichogyo and Kakuma, who want to obtain technical skills in repair and maintenance of motor vehicles. So this is something that once it becomes operational, it will be very useful to many. So our CIDP has also planned to build 4 more VCTs for each sub-county, with 1 going to be, and 1 of course will come to Turkana West, and I believe that should be Kakuma. It's also important to note that the Education Act that I had mentioned, and through the regulations, I think, we actually intentionally, because my office thoroughly participated in its formulation, we intentionally ensured that there is a percentage of that fund that must go to VCTs. No, VTCs. Yeah, the vocational technical centers that promote the enrollment and the uptake of courses in existing technical institutions. So that would encourage those maybe who've not been able to make it to other colleges, universities, to just be able to join these things, because there is money that would be able to take care of you. Other frameworks that we have had with institutions, for example, is a memorandum of understanding between Turkana County Government, UNHCR, and KMTC. where both hosts and refugees communities are supposed to be given scholarships to pursue courses at KMTC. I think my brother from UNHCR yesterday mentioned and spoke much about that, so I will not belabor on the same. Other significant county supports for education is the provision for scholarship for rare skills, still in the same act. Anyone who would want to do postgraduate would also do the same and get it through the HELP education. Other legislations that are useful in future in the county government is something like which we have actually legislated on, is the Turkana County Persons with Disability Bill, which has a fund. The regulations as we speak, I know, has been activated, and there was a fund that has been placed there to help PWDs. So those are the two other documents that can be useful in this. From where I'm seated, this would be the end of my presentation. I'll be available for any questions after this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As we try to wind up this section, I'd like to call a representation from LWF to make his remarks. After this presentation, we'll have a 10 minutes break. We can have our tea, then we come back for a panel discussion.
All protocol observed. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Natinga Rion Jacob, standing in for our education technical lead, who is out on a mission with ECHO. I've just come in shortly and just want to give maybe brief information as far as LWF operations in KAKUMA is concerned. And that is a problem of coming late. At some point, you might not give full information because you might not be well informed on what is expected of you. But allow me share this information. LWF is an organization that operates in KAKUMA and Kalobeye, and we've been mandated by the UNHCR to implement education. That is secondary, primary, and ECD in the settlement that is in Kalobeye and KAKUMA refugee camp. So LWF implements education program in KAKUMA and Kalobeye settlement covering early childhood education, primary and junior school, and secondary education. So we are supporting 55 learning institutions, and we are having 19 preschools, 13 in KAKUMA, 6 in Kalobeye, 27 primary and junior schools, 21 in KAKUMA, and 6 in Kalobeye. We are having 9 secondary schools, which are also supporting senior schools currently. 2 in Kalobeye and 7 in KAKUMA. The total enrollment currently is 73,901 learners. Boys, 42,313, and we are having 31,588 girls. We are also expecting these numbers to keep on rising because we are having what we call an open door policy as far as admission is concerned. And each and every day we are admitting learners. As you may be aware that we are still receiving persons of concern who are coming to this country from South Sudan. And the number will keep on rising. We do updates on weekly basis, and we share updated reports on monthly basis. From the 73,901 learners, we are having learners with disability. That is 1,804, 1,064 boys, 737 girls. Those are learners with disability. Our schools are inclusive. We don't have special units. And we have these learners in our schools, and they're being supported. Currently, we are also doing admission for grade 10 students. And the registration began, I think, early this month. And we are having one of the schools in Kalobeye admitting students. That is Kalobeye Settlement, secondary. We are also having another school in KAKUMA 3, that is Somali Bantu. We are also having another school in KAKUMA for fission. And we are also having KAKUMA Refugee Secondary School in KAKUMA 1 admitting grade 10 learners. And LWF also has deployed 770 teachers who are supporting in learning. That is 97 national teachers, 673 refugee teachers. Colleagues, we did recruit teachers who have gone through the teacher training colleges. Some of them have gone through universities. And majority of the teachers we have right now are well trained, well capacity built, including the refugee staff. Most of them have been trained from Masinde Muliro University. And as you know, we have a branch in KAKUMA here. A good number of them have acquired diploma in education. And most of the refugee staff we have in our camp schools right now, they have gone through education. Unlike sometimes back, we used to employ and train teachers. Just once they are done with Form 4, some of them couldn't get an opportunity maybe to enroll in the teacher training colleges or universities. But LWF has been offering a program where teachers are capacity built. Apart from continuous capacity development trainings that LWF also conducts, we are also developing these teachers professionally. And as we speak, currently LWF is supporting teachers through the same program at Masinde Muliro, where we are having 14 teachers who are undertaking diploma in teacher education. There are some, close to 100, who never met the criteria of joining a teacher's training college. We are having bridging for them, and they are done with their classes. By December, they completed. Probably early next month, they will be graduating, and we'll be enrolling them for diploma in teacher education. The intention is to ensure that at least they get to know what is expected of them as far as teaching is concerned. We are having currently 34 teachers being supported by LWF, undertaking their studies at Bishop Mount Teachers Training College in Lodwar. And I think the same is also happening to a team in Dadaab. So we would want to comply. Probably once the Shirika plan is fully implemented, ours is to ensure that any refugee staff who is working for LWF and in education department would want to give them an opportunity. Once they are done with their schools, once they are done with their training, they can also be registered as teachers in this country. And that's why we took an initiative of having them being trained at Bishop Mount Teachers Training College. And once they complete their studies, if everything goes on well, they will be registered as teachers. They can also secure jobs in Kenya. Because ideally, a good number of us understand very well that for you to be a teacher, we all understand the only way for you to be a teacher, you need to have scored at least a main grade of C plane and above for you to join a teacher's training college. And once you are done with your studies for 3 years, you need to be registered as a teacher by the Teacher Service Commission. So LWF would want to ensure that the right process is being followed here. And that's why we are talking of 770 teachers currently supporting learning in KAKUMA refugee camp and Kalobie settlement. And the 97 are national teachers. We would want also to comply with the Ministry of Education requirements, whereby the heads of institutions are expected to be teachers who have degrees. So in our 27 primary and junior schools, currently the heads of institutions are teachers who have degrees. And like some time back, we had them, even those ones with P1, but currently we would want to comply with the Ministry of Education requirements. For secondary and senior schools, that is usual. LWF is being supported, our main donor is UNHCR, because UNHCR is the only organization that has given us the mandate to support education in KAKUMA refugee camp and Kalobie settlement. And we are also being supported by ECHO. We are also being supported by LWS. And we are also having a donor who is supporting teachers, mostly teachers, to ensure that teachers are capacity built. That is the donor is called Lego Foundation, and the project is called Teach Well. And on matters to do with quality education, offering quality education, I've just mentioned that a good number of our teachers are trained, and we are also keeping, we are also doing the best we can to ensure that even those ones who have not met the full requirement are capacity built. And as at last year, we did training for lower grade teachers under the Teach Well project, whereby we capacity built close to 300 teachers. We are also having the same program happening as from next week, targeting grade 4 to grade 6 teachers. We'll be targeting close to 310 teachers. And next year, we'll also be capacity building teachers in senior schools. And we'll reach out to our donors whether they can facilitate us to ensure that even teachers who will be handling senior schools are supported as far as the Teach Well teacher continuous capacity development training is concerned. We are also supported by WFP as far as meals are concerned, and WFP supports only primary schools with feeding program, and the food basket is rice and beans. The government of Kenya is also supporting the same program through the NAConnect program with food. We're having a challenge which is normal because of funding, and a good number of us understand what happened. I think that was last year. And we are having a challenge of staffing in our schools. And in most cases, you'll find a school having close to 5,000 or 4,000 learners being supported by a few teachers. And like before, where we had close to 60 teachers supporting such schools. we're having a problem with staffing, and this is because of funding issues. And our prayer is we might be coming out of this anytime we get funding. LWF also supports reception centers, and we have 2 reception centers. That is one in Kalobeyei and one in KAKUMA. And as at last month, we were talking of 6,000 people in the 2 reception centers, where we had 5,000 at Kalobeyei and 1,000 in KAKUMA. And in the 2 reception centers, we are also supporting in matters to do with education. You know, if you look at the composition of the people who are found in the reception centers, there are those ones we call onward movers. An onward mover, like this is someone who was registered as a refugee either in Tanzania or Uganda. But sometimes they feel like maybe they want to cross to Kenya. And as per the policies that are on the ground, they are not allowed to be given an opportunity to join other community members in the community. And I'm sure there are plans to maybe address their challenges. And bearing in mind that once they come in, there are processes that are followed as far as registration is concerned. By the time they are released to join other members of the community, you have to ensure that everything is in order. So there are children also in the 2 reception centers. And as LWF, we've worked hard to ensure that as they stay in the 2 reception centers, they are supported as far as education is concerned. So we have an education center in KAKUMA and Kalobeyei, and LWF is supporting. We have also other partners. DRC is there, NRC is there, and we've deployed teachers there. They are supporting learning in these 2 reception centers. And it's a bit different from the kind of education we are offering outside here for the 27 primary schools. At the reception center, even during the holidays, we ensure that these learners are supported, because we would want to ensure, you know, most of them came in and they are green, totally green. Some of them understand only the first language. And as LWF, we have plans to ensure that these students undertaking studies in the 2 reception centers are supported even during holiday period. Together with the help maybe from the government of Kenya, through the, I think last year we were talking of the KP program. This year we are talking of the CKIP program. Our schools are also supported with funding from the Ministry of Education, where they are given money to support on the recruitment of staff, improvement of infrastructure in schools, and even procurement of learning materials. And as we speak last year, the heads of institutions who are there were trained. And there are plans also this year to ensure that those ones who have reported are also trained. And at the same time, they will be given an opportunity to work on what we call school improvement plans. And once they are fully trained, they will be expected to implement the activities as prioritized. So the government of Kenya is also supporting our schools. Maybe that's what we also need to understand here. And we are receiving a lot of support from the government. And last year, we had grade 9 learners who sat for the KGCE assessment. A good number of them have been offered scholarships through the JKF, and that is close to 900 learners. And then UNHCR supported close to 1,200 learners with scholarships. And the remaining number of learners, because by last year, we had close to 6,000 learners. So those learners who got an opportunity to be awarded scholarships are close to 2,200. And UNHCR and Elimu Scholarship through JKF have absorbed these learners, and they have reported to schools by last week. So the few are remaining there. I think because of normal reasons, they will be facilitated to join their schools soon. Maybe that is what I want to say from LWF. If there are some information that I might have not shared, please, maybe you will allow me understand, then see whether I can come back later. Thank you.
You know, I had promised people tea within 5 minutes, and we've taken 15, so apologies. So we'll have our tea right outside here for 10 minutes. Right now is 11:27. We'll come back exactly at 11:37. For those who wish to have their tea inside, you can come with it, because we are having the next session as a panel discussion. Thank you so much. structure and learning materials, community engagement, and social cohesion through education, and existing opportunities in education. So as we proceed, I'd like to call the panelists to come on the podium. I will start with NRC representative. NRC representative, kindly, thank you. JRS representative. Thank you. VDIPA. VDIPA stands for Voices of Disabled Persons Association. A representative from the County Director of Education. And representation from LWF. Thank you so much. So this session will be approximately 30 minutes. Once we are done, we will proceed with moderated discussion, or what we call the fireside session. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Good morning. Mr. MC, I think you can try and mobilize people who are standing outside to join in as we start our session. As you can see, I have a very rich panel. I'll let the panel introduce themselves. We can pass, we only have 2 mics. I'll use this one, but you can alternatively pass the other one. Just brief us, tell us your name, tell us which organization or entity you represent, and what is the role of that institution in terms of education. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning once again. My name is Natinga Remo Jacob. I work for LWF in the education department and as a teacher trainer, and currently representing the education technical lead who was supposed to be here. I think I did my presentation here, but maybe just want to say that LWF implements education in KAKUMA refugee camp and Kalobeyei settlement. And I did mention the number of schools LWF is supporting. And LWF is an implementing partner as far as education matters are concerned. So maybe that is what I can say for now. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Godfrey Kibet. I work for Norwegian Refugee Council as the program manager in KAKUMA. I'm in charge of the organization in this space. For the Norwegian Refugee Councils, in relation to the education matters, we do implement education with a focus on non-formal education. And a lot of justice had been presented by the acting sub-county director, where we run 14 centers in charge of targeting overage out-of-school children between the age of 10 and 18. We have 4 centers in the host communities with regards to Kalemchuch, Pokotom, Nashonaka, and St. Kizito Kalobey integrated. And we have 8 centers within the refugee schools, which are more of integrated with the current existing formal schools that are run by LWF, and 1 standalone in KAKUMA 4. But as my colleague had mentioned earlier, we also support asylum seekers within the reception center, the 2 reception centers, basically to prepare them early in advance with regards to language, that is English and numeracy, as they prepare to move towards the community and enroll in school. And our programs, we work with different stakeholders, including the Teacher Service Commission, Ministry of Education, both at the sub-county, county, and at the national level. And I think I'll talk much if an opportunity comes. Thank you so much.
Yes, good morning. My name is Mwangi Ephantus. I work with JRS as the education coordinator. Briefly, JRS support secondary education closely with the LWF. Previously, we have been implementing secondary education until this year. We also run special centers, 5 inclusive special needs centers, and we also support higher education. We have a center at Irrp, and we have partnered with a university in US, South New Hampshire University, whereby we support post-secondary education. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. I am Irrp, working with the Voice for Disabled People Association. Voice for Disabled People Association is a non-profitable refugee-led organization. We based there in KAKUMA 2, Sunwan Block 5. What we do there, we do mostly advocacy and also awareness. We do education, inclusive education, mostly on a person with disability. And now currently what we are doing, we are also doing training on Kenyan Sign Language, and also we are training on Braille machine. And we will be having another work that will start from Friday, which is tomorrow. We'll be launching ICT for a person with disability that is being sponsored by Killworks, which will start from tomorrow. And we are also creating friendly space for the play of the children, so that they can have a play together, whether children with disability and also without disability. And we are also doing livelihood. That is the same thing that we're doing. And we are also doing inclusive sports. We make an inclusive sports for, especially for children with and without disability. We do also identifications of a person with disability, mostly children who are not going to school, and also they drop out. We linkage them to the nearest school. Thank you. That is what I can say for now.
Good afternoon, all. Again, I'm Florence Lokale Menyan, standing in for the County Director of Education and County Director of TAC. But on the ground, I'm in charge of Pelekage Zone as a Curriculum Support Officer, and also acting as the TAC Sub-County Director, Turkana West. In charge of 67 primary schools, 9 public secondary schools, and also working together with the education partners to ensure that education in the camp is being implemented following the government policies and guidelines. As TSC, we are responsible in recruitment of teachers, both in primary and secondary, and also, we also register teachers trained in early childhood, and also we are responsible in ensuring that discipline is being maintained by the teachers, both in the various levels. On the side of Ministry of Education, we are in charge of the learner, ensuring that every learner is accessing free, compulsory, and quality education. And also, we ensure that these learners are well taken care of by ensuring that schools get school meal programs, and also the fundings. We are also in charge of exams or assessments, whereby we ensure all learners are being registered for exams. And during exams, every learner has to sit for the exam, whether he or she was in class or not. We ensure that every learner sits for that national exam, both in the camp and host community. More we will share in the...
Thank you so much. As you can see, we have a very rich panel. I will deter from making the session very long, just for us to absorb the little information as effectively as we can. So you'll find during the panel discussion, I will tie up some questions. Some questions will be open-ended and can be answered by anyone from the panel, and the other ones that will be very specific according to your mandate and your line of duty. I'll give this question I'll start from our brother from LWF to NRC, and also JRS can answer. I would actually want the three of you to answer. When you are aligning your mandate in terms of education, you could tell that each partner is doing great work in terms of education. But how is your specific organization aligning to the education programming within county education priorities? Because it's easy to have duplication of services. So instead of operating in silos, what strategies are you taking to align with the county priorities in terms of education?
Thank you. As LWF, as I had said earlier on, we are implementing education in the camp and in the settlement. And this is being done as per the Ministry of Education requirements. And we also understand that the county government is supporting the ECD program, and we work closely with the county government in terms of implementation of the education program in the preschools. We reach out for guidance, and we don't do it directly as LWF, because ideally we have bodies that support education in Turkana West, We work closely with the Sub-County Director of Education's office and the other relevant offices that are here, which also work closely with the county government education department to ensure that learners, especially in the preschools, are supported as far as education is concerned. And I think we've had a lot of plans where we've been engaging even committee that is in charge with education at the county level, that is at the county assembly, and we've had meetings with them. We've also interacted in formulation of policies, because if you look at in LWF, we have a project called Poticas, and Poticas is in charge, is supporting the ECD section. And there was, as of last year, there was a policy that was being drafted because ideally in the project, once the project comes to an end, we will be expected to hand over the ECD centers to the county government, because ECD education is being implemented by the county government. It is not being done by the national government. So as LWA, we work closely with the county government to ensure that whatever is expected in the early years education is implemented accordingly. Yes.
As you hand over to Mr. Godfrey from, you can just hand over, I'll just do a follow-up question, and then the county attorney mentioned a lot of county legislations to do with education. I'm just intrigued because you mentioned about a policy that you're developing, and it builds up to the question whether your projects are aligning to county priorities. Is that something that you're currently working with the county government of Turkana, or the policy is being developed alone by LWF?
I've just said that a number of meetings were held last year, and these are not policies that are being formulated by LWF only. Maybe that's what should come clear. We've involved all the stakeholders as far as ECD education matters are concerned. A number of engagements were done last year. And the last one was whereby we had a very big forum where the county director of education was chairing the meeting in Lodwa, and the meeting was done, I think in CRADLE Hotel, as far as policy, the same policy is concerned. So it's not something that is being done by LWF only. We are involving the county government. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. As I had mentioned, NRC is purely implementing a non-formal education, which is from the Ministry of Education at the national level. However, this does not mean that we don't contribute in terms of the conversation at the county level. We play a critical role because we know that with the formulation of some of the critical policies, like the ECD policies, are very critical and instrumental in ensuring that all learners, all children within the
basically the adding English being the most affected to try and improve the acquisition of the subject. That said, materials remain a very big challenge, scholastic materials to support that area. Given that intervention allowed the most affected people who happen to be girls so that they are not left behind by all this intervention we are doing. And we know girls are very strong in languages, so a lot need to be done in that area. Having supportive program for them to ensure they are still able to access school and join some of this program. Yeah.
Maybe to add on, for university. in most cases, we've also worked hard to ensure that apart from the teacher maybe doing the presentation, we've also introduced the use of projectors in our classes. We go to some of our schools, we have projectors. There is a projector. In fact, if you go to a class, there is no even space for a teacher to pass. So in most cases, we even station a projector there, and the teacher operates the projector, and learners are able to go through the content of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jen. This is one of the critical areas that has an impact when it comes to the quality of education. And most of these partners have done their level best in terms of advocacy, in terms of conversation, and as an organization, one of the critical things that we've done, we've had in-house capacity strengthening of teachers, which are more of continuous. And this is to recognize some of the gaps that exist. As my colleague had mentioned, a lot of these teachers are mostly refugee teachers. But this does not underscore that we have refugee teachers who've gone through education level and they are competent in terms of teaching. But the question is that always goes around is about the certification and also the remuneration. And that is the difference that we are also looking about. Number two, for us as an organization, we have the center leaders or the head of institutions who are more of national TSC recognized teachers. And these ones are more of to mentor the other teachers within the schools so that they are able to provide quality teaching to learners in school despite the limited resources that we have. Number three, we have the support and engagement with the Ministry of Education, which is more of a quarterly assessment that are done in schools. And these are very critical for us just to look at 360 in terms of the education welfare for our centers, from the teachers, and the composition of the committee includes also the Teacher Service Commission and the representative from the Ministry of Education, the sub-county, and the quality. And all these are to help us understand and unpack some of the barriers or challenges that are within the school, just to ensure that we continuously support the teachers across all the levels. Lastly, we are keen in terms of the teacher learning circles, which are very instrumental for teachers because we know that it's only through the teacher learning circle with the support of the technical education officers that they are able to deliver on their mandate, irrespective of what we say. Maybe just to touch on one of the things that you had mentioned about the issues of the linguistic. Recently, I think at the end of last year or this year, there was a study that was commissioned by Zizi Africa with the support of British Council across the 2 refugee camps. And one of the challenges that is coming out is the issues of language, English and Swahili. And I think some of you, given that you are education stakeholders or those ones in this space, you've already understood the challenges that are existing when it comes to KP program, which is managed and implemented by the government through the partners, where one of the challenges has always been the comprehension of English and Swahili. When it comes to competition, there's a gap. Last year, with the support of World Bank, NRC was given the mandate to support with the remediation or the remedial classes for learners in the refugee camp, both Dadaab and KAKUMA, which is a continuous process because it recognizes that language is one of the critical challenges that exist, and for us to continue and support. As I had mentioned, we implement our interventions at the reception center. When you look at the reception center, this is where there is a fast arrival of the asylum seekers. And at this point, we try to help them to start understanding the issues of literacy, the issues of numeracy, in readiness for them to transition when they go in the community and enroll in school, which is a long journey, but we believe with all partners, the concerted effort will be able to support and meet what we can, but still the challenges are there. Thank you, Mr. Kibet. Yes. They are
requirements was immediately when you have done with the Form 4, then and that opportunity is there, maybe they can employ you. And that is how also I have got an opportunity to be a teacher once, and then I have been just there for 1 year, then I went back to school. When I came back, I didn't rejoin them again. We joined the RLO so that we can work with a person with disability. Indeed, what LWF is they're saying, it is something that is there, especially to do with the crowding of the learners in one class. During my time, when I was a teacher, it was 844 system, and I was handling 123 learners in one class. It was class 6, and that was class 6C. So we are having class 6A, class 6B, and class 6C. So then C was 123. That was the lowest class that I was handling at that time. And capacity strengthening of a teacher to handle such learners, of which also I went through one of their trainings, and when the CBC it was difficult for us also as tablets. I don't know of the GIZ. I don't know whether they are still there or
What are these challenges for EWs to access this type of services while for the other population it's still as hard?
Okay, thank you for the question. VDPA, that is Voice for Disabled People Association. We personally, we are doing the remedial class, and it is mostly, what we do mostly, it is a play. We are not taking the kids throughout the sessions per the normal schools, but we know that sometimes when they go to school, indeed, they are there, and even as a teacher, to know which child has not come to school today, and also to identify any child who is also having a different classrooms that can divide the classes so that we can at least have the less number of the learners. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rabi. I'll pass over the mic. My next question will be to Madam Florence. Of course, you're stepping in for the County Director of Ministry of Education, also the County Director of Teacher and Service Commission, but also in your role in the ambit of 3 separate mandates. So no pressure. So I'll ask the questions in 2 ambits. You can tell there's a gap. One, if the ratio is 1 to 110, then that means it's not a learner's issue, it's the deployment issue of teachers. So number 1 question will be, how is the Teacher Service Commission addressing deployment of teachers, especially in a rapid of schools, amount of learners, because I'm looking at a situation if it's 284 to 1, then that means if we had multiple schools and multiple teachers, then that number can be divided. So maybe touch on those 2 things, personnel and infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is a challenge which cuts across both the host community and the refugee camp. And on the side of deployment, I cannot say the commission as at now, because of the financial constraints or lack of adequate finances to recruit more teachers, maybe in the camp. I think maybe after integration or the Shirika plan, that is now when the commission will take lead in ensuring that teachers are also deployed in the camp schools, because they will be integrated together with the host community. To answer about the infrastructure, it's just the same. Yeah, because also infrastructure, challenge of infrastructure cuts across. Maybe that one will be handled. Yeah.
Okay. One other follow-up question is, do you have any other teacher in the room? Yes, we'll have a session for questions. Do you have any other teacher? Mr. Rabi? Oh, we don't have a teacher. Yes. Before Mr. Kibet answers yes, you can just have the mic, it's fine. I was asking whether there was a teacher involved, and then maybe they could give us their experience in working in such an environment, because it's quite unique. And we can always say the Teacher Service Commission needs to employ more teachers and all that, but also teachers are going through a lot in terms of psychological, and in terms of also deployment in these places. Some of them are skeptical in coming, maybe. Maybe is that a challenge that you face on your end?
Okay, the issue of large classrooms cuts across. Even in the host, in public schools, we have schools with high enrollment, and the issue of staffing is a problem. And now this one leads to negative outcomes or low outcomes, both
on the side of the teacher and also the learners. Yeah. And also to add
To add on the issue of large classrooms in the camp, I think there is this issue of shift lessons, or multi-shift lessons where learners are given time to attend to lessons, maybe from 8 to maybe 12. A certain group will attend lessons, and then from there they break, and then another group comes attend the other part of the lesson. But from where I sit, and through my own experience when I do assessments, when I do lesson observations in these schools, there is really a challenge, but we've stepped in and also tried to support these teachers and also support the education partners so that we ensure that learning is conducted as expected. Yeah.
Mr. Kibet, does the point still stand, or it has been?
Thanks so much, Madam Director. I will want to say that we underscore the progress that the government towards the support of education among the refugee population. Currently, there are conversations in terms of the registration of schools, which are very critical in terms of if they are registered, the refugee schools, it gives opportunity for different aspects that other schools enjoy, the public schools. And these will be opening opportunities for the secondment or placements of TSC teachers if they are registered as public school. And this is what is happening now. The issues of capitation will also be considered. But we also recognize that now through the, I think the secondary education improvement program that is being implemented with funding from World Bank, there are conversations that are happening in terms of rather than to implement or second learners within junior secondary schools in the camps, why don't we tap on the existing secondary schools within the host communities? And these learners are placed there because one, we are looking at more of sustainabilities, investing infrastructure to the existing infrastructure, more of just expansion, rather than to establish new secondary schools that might not be, we'll say that they will just be operating more and more schools, yet we already have. Number two, I know what the conversation also is about through the support of UNHCR and the implementing partners is to recruit competent and qualified teachers who will be seconded in these secondary schools that the refugee learners will be placed. And this, to some level, is looking at the quality of education that we are talking about, the issues of inclusivity, with more refugees working, schooling in the host secondary schools, the likes of, I think we had mention of Taraj, Songot, Pokotom, Our Ladies, St. Leo. All this is towards the issues of inclusivity and ensuring the quality of learning for children is adhered to, as well as diversification of infrastructure, because we know we don't have enough resources to construct as many schools as we can in the same. And capitalizing on the BOM. To be honest, one of the flagship projects that the government has taken is the issues of placing teachers on internship. And if you look at the partners have opted also to engage competent teachers through the BOM's modality. And this is to streamline the quality of teachers and provision of learning. The huge discussion is on the primary schools, but I know partners are really trying their level best, despite the limited funding that we have, just to ensure that we provide the more basic learning opportunities for these learners and capitalizing on the rest. And that's why it calls for all partners in terms of coordination. As he mentioned, they are doing secondary schools, but complement what LWFs are doing. Windle Trust are also there in terms of teacher, and all this is a joint effort to ensure we complement each other and for the purpose of these learners.
Thank you, Mr. Kibet. Allow me to take it back to my side because you're already past time. We need to open the floor for a few minutes for questions. Then we will have it back on our end for closing remarks and recommendations. We will take only 5. I already seen 1 hand at the back, 2, 3, 4, 5. We close it at that. Okay. Okay, I'll allow 1 more. So this is how we are going to do this session. Oh, my days. So now we have 7. Yesterday, it's only fair I take 7 because I took 7 yesterday. But we are going to be very, very brief. Mr. Enoch, you're going to assist me in passing the mic. You'll only have 1 question, 1 minute for a question. 1 minute for a question, you pass it over. The panelists will note it down. You can start from the back because he had his hand up while the panel discussion was going on. Then we'll bring it back here. Just 1 minute, please.
Okay. Okay, good. I don't know if it's still morning. Good afternoon.
You can stand so that we see you.
Okay, good afternoon all. My name is Wambani Godwin from the Public Health Department. I have just 1 concern, and it goes to the overcrowding of classes. As per public health, when the classes are overcrowded, they pose a health risk. So when you go to inspections, a school like the one in Kalobei settlement, it's very overpopulated. So it poses a health risk to the learners who are using the classroom, because if maybe we have a condition or a disease, maybe a waterborne disease, so it's a guarantee that all the children will be affected. So the overcrowding is not just a downside maybe on the teacher, even on the learners who are using the classroom. They need the aeration, they need the ventilation so that they can learn in a healthy environment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And move next. She wasn't part of the initial agreement, but if you're building up on it, then it's fine. We can allow. Yeah.
Good afternoon, all. My name's still Lawrence Scholastica Ibe. I just wanted to add something on what the current speaker said about Kalobeye settlement. Last year, the county assembly was in Turkana West for Bunge Mashinani. And the Committee on Education, Sports and Social Protection took an activity of going around the schools. Our interest was on ECD, because that is where our role is as a county government. So we sampled like 4 schools. We went to Tarach ECD, we went to Kalobeye Settlement, Comde ECD, and the Child Rescue Center. So our findings in Kalobeye Settlement was, I want to talk the issue of population. The school was densely populated with a population of 7,600, and the ratio was 1 teacher teaching 125 people. And on ECD, the population of ECD was 1,300. And by then we were told there are only 8 teachers who are handling the ECD children. So my concern is, did the situation change? Ama ni ile tu? What are the partners thinking about it? And what is the county government also thinking about it? Kwa sababu ukiona hiyo population na walimu 8, which means hakuna masomo, si hivyo? Hiyo tu ndio concern yangu. Has the situation changed or it is still the same?
No. Thank you. That's a cross-panel question, so I think they've noted down.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Christine Simiyu. Anafanya kazi na shirika la Msalaba Mwekundu. And so I just want to build on what we discussed yesterday concerning health and water and the vulnerabilities that we are experiencing, especially in the camp, but most importantly in Turkana County. So currently we know that girls and women are affected because of funding, and I'm saying this because I work around girls and children a lot, so and I want to advocate for them in this forum. So for our education sectors, I appreciate the fact that there are so many partners and the government has goodwill. There are so many infrastructures that has been invested and it is in place. But I work in health department, and what we see is that at Natkobenyo, 16% of the deliveries are teenage deliveries. Those are teenage pregnancies. We've done some engagements with the education stakeholders, and some of the data, I may not be able to verbalize the data correctly, but the data shows that school enrollment at transition is normally good during when they are taking up pupils. It's good when girls are there. But at the point of finishing, majority of the girls have dropped out. We know that the government policy supports adolescent reproductive health, and it also has some aspect, and RCK is here. They have an aspect of a policy on going back to school after someone has delivered. So, and again, I have been able to read a few of researches that have been done here. And the findings are there is low literacy level in girls, and then there is period poverty. That is menstrual awareness is not there, issues of hygiene. And then majority of vulnerable population, especially at the refugee camp, we have a lot of child-led household, and those households are led by girls who are also underage when we talk about child-led household. And then high number of GBV. We know that GBV is affecting girls more. And a lot of the GBV that we are seeing is rape, and we can't even say it is rape, it is defilement, because these girls are within the, are lower than 18 years. And also the child labor. When you go to KAKUMA town in the evening, the number of children that you see that are engaging in sex at night, they are girls and they are underage, and we can be able to talk to them. They have given us our feedback. And so, what are we going to do? And leveraging on this inclusive refugee response program. How can maybe RCK coordinators, so that we are able to apply right-based approach and intensively ensure that our girls are in school, one. We know that if girls are able to make decisions, they are given opportunity. Even the panelists, we are only having one woman. And even the refugees that came in this forum, we have very few women. So, and we know that if girls are able to make decisions, we will be able to improve health, because majority of the clients that come at the health facility in Natkobenyo, they are women. Hauwezi ukaona mwanaume amebeba mtoto ameleta clinic. So if we empower that woman at an early age, ensure that they go through education, they are able to get livelihood through employment, they are able to get knowledge, their children, including men, will benefit a lot. So how can we be able to be coordinated? I know there is disjointed efforts. There are so many people who are doing very many things. Through here, I think we can be coordinated so that we establish even school interventions that are health related and can have a replica future sustainability where we have healthy communities. We know that women go to fetch water, but then again, they are being affected by GBV and they are young girls. So how can we be able to improve? Because even those water committees, we need women to be there to make decisions, because we know women cannot vandalize our water system because she knows she has to walk a very long distance to carry that water. So what is the, through this session, what can our action point be like advocating for a girl child to be able to finish their education so that they can come back and improve education, health, and water? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Simu. That was quite a massive food for thought. I'm actually rethinking that we should have had you in the panel. But whatever we mentioned in terms of coordination, I think it's a cross-panel, and we will be able to address all of us on how we can coordinate together. And you actually preempted our discussion to do with recommendations and way forward, so we are going to also cover that part. Thank you. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So please just stick to that 1 minute. It's almost time.
Yeah, thanks for the chance. Andrea Munyawana, my name. I need to ask one of the questions related to a good number of youth that have dropped out because of the school fees. We have accepted the fact that since policy of 3,000 per year was being introduced, we have got a number of good youth that have dropped out. So I was to ask, how will that case is going to be handled? Because we have people who have no one supporting them and they have that hard to learn. So will we encourage them to drop out, or we can make a solution of them to come and continue with their study? So the same thing related to the same is the number of learners that were being told maybe to pay the half. So I have an example of almost 60-something learners whom I took them to the implementing agency concerned, and they were given a chance to pay the half, not 3,000. And with my commitment, with your commitment, we try, but nothing happened. So they have been learning since Form 1 to Form 3. So others speak, they are in Form 3, going to Form 4. So that half payment has not been happening. So I was to ask the implementing agency concerned, so will they be given chance to continue freely, or the restriction will remain the same? Another thing is about the student that have finished the high school, including I myself. We have that hard to continue with our study, especially maybe someone with a low grade, you can join college or something like that thought. Since there is no some other opportunities to the youth that finished the high school, what do you people you think will be a motivation to these people? And yet, Don Bosco have changed to school fees, and it was one of the technical courses that youth have been getting advantage. Others speak, people are paying. Lastly, it's about the youth males. I mean the boys. We came in our community where most of the supports are given to the ladies. When we talk maybe in the community, in also in the school, everywhere, all the supports are directed to the ladies. And yet, we have some youth male who deserve also to be supported. So are we encourage them to keep suffering, or we can also play some initiative how this kind of people can also be supported as well? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. My names are Rafael Ingilimo. I want just only to ask one question about crowded in classroom. When in a classroom, teachers crowded in a classroom, that it may cause a person with disability having a wheelchair. How this person can enter any class when the class is congested and he has a wheelchair, meaning that we are not considering disability etiquettes, and you are not considering people with disability to have that learning, because such a institution, a disability person need a free environment. Learning is very slow in learning, so he need a free environment so that he may achieve his learning correctly. Question 2. Since the SWF is employing female teachers, and what are the measures they are putting in place since we are hearing or doing getting information that our female teachers that are teaching in a refugee camp, they are not comfortable and are not free. How measures the LWF is putting in place to ensure our female teachers are only safe when they are in that situation?
Okay, thank you. My name is Tioko Jendros, County Chief Officer for Partnership in the County Government of Turkana. My concern also goes to the large classrooms in our refugee camps. And I heard that in a class we have almost 287 learners per one teacher, which is also against the policies of education, whereby the teacher-learner ratio is supposed to be 1 to 40 or 1 to 45 learners. Do you think at the end of the day, the learner goes home acquiring or achieving all the competencies that he or she is supposed to get as per the CBC? And also, the large classrooms or the high enrollment in the school translates to straining of other facilities in the school, such as the infrastructure as well as water. What are some of the plans that you are putting in place to make sure that these concerns have been bridged? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm Geoffrey Masika from Water Mission. I think my question goes to TSC Director. I mean Director, the TSC plus, I don't know the ministry, but it's about employment of teachers. From a reliable source, I heard that you are now employing teachers who trained in 2009. Let's give an example, like someone who trained in 2010. 2010, and maybe he trained or she trained while at the age of 30 years. And systematically or using statistics, it will mean that you'll again employ when it comes to 16 years. So when this person trained at 30 years plus 16 years, so that will be the next employment. That person will have attained 46 years. And recruiting someone who is almost retiring becomes an issue. My concern is, why don't you put on hold the training of the teachers until you accommodate all these people, so that when you are just about to complete the backlog, then you start training again?
If you promise to be brief, okay. Thank you. One last one, and then we can have 7 minutes to respond.
Okay, thank you for giving me that opportunity. Good afternoon, colleagues. I'm Anthony Arasio. One question, nutrition and education. When our Ebo County attorney spoke, she clearly stated that we have over 1,000 ECDs in Turkana. And from a health perspective, nutrition is important for cognitive development. We have about 1,000 ECDs across Turkana, maybe including those at the refugee camps. My question is, from the field experience we have seen, there is inconsistency in terms of ensuring that there is food supplies in some of these ECDs. And you find some of them are empty, so how do we ensure that we have consistent supply of food in this institution, including the refugees, for purposes of integration? Number two, issues quality of education. The supreme law of the land states every learner has a right to quality education. Mark the word quality. But from these discussions, we've had there are quite a number of challenges in terms of provision of quality education. As a government and development partner supporting this initiative, what is the long-term plan? Because the refugees are here to stay. Do we have any long-term plan on addressing issues, quality of education, and what timelines do we have? And in summary, colleagues, we are as relevant as the problems we solve. So this forum is actually meant to ensure that our relevance resolves the very issues that we are discussing here. Thank you, and back to
Good afternoon. By the name is Stella Sandematrio, working for Kolbe Integrated Youth Progress. And my question goes to Director Florence, issue on registering teachers in earlier childhood development trainings. So in this case, are you involving the teachers? Because there are laws, we have also the focus area of education. We have education programs, and we have teachers. Are you also concerning our laws with ECDs or primary teachers to be trained in this sector? Thank you.
Hey, I believe we have wrapped up our conversation. I do intend that most of the panelists who are noting down the questions, I see Mr. Infantas Mwangi nodding. I do believe so. So we are already 7 minutes past the hour. It's already 1. We have another session before we proceed for lunch. So we'll only take a maximum of 8 minutes to respond. But the thing is, we are not supposed to also respond to everything, because some of it is also recommendations, things we have noted down, but there are key areas that require feedback. We only provide those key things, and the rest we leave it for recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to respond to a few areas that touched on some of the things that we have influenced or are still influencing. And because we are many, I'm going to be very focused. Now, regarding the students who have issues struggling with the school fees, some have dropped, some were asked to pay half, and they are struggling to complete education. The history of charging that BOM levy of 3,000 was a community engagement thing, and the decision was not to hinder access to education. So those learners that we advised at the time to pay half or were supported to join should and will complete education. Work closely with JRS and LWF is also here. We are in the same consortium. So refer the student to us, refer the student to LWF, they will complete education. And I'm here to confirm that. So please, and you know my office. I also want to comment on the issue of girls and women. They were mentioned so much by Red Cross. As JRS, we are doing a very big program on gender responsive education. And we have a lot of intervention around girls' mentorship, MHH, that's mental health and hygiene, school fees, waivers. We have, last year you have supported over 1,000, and we are still going to do that this year. So it's a reality that we are aware of, but now we are hearing the boys are raising concern. So I think it's food for thought. And finally, on the quality of education. This one I want to first of all thank the government of Kenya, because if you have been allowed this space, you have just been doing access, and that's a reality. Quality, given the circumstance, has been a challenge. But in secondary school, I want to confirm that especially the RIMU scholarship opened a lot of space for our children, decongested the camp, and I can confirm that most of our secondary school have less than 100 as at now. For the last 2-3 years, a lot of over 4,000 from KAKUMA are standing in down country. That was a very good initiative, CDE. And for me, because there's a lot of funding challenges, we would propose that we continue having such intervention. Thank you so much.
Colleagues, as far as quality education is concerned, I also want us to understand that, especially in the camp, we are implementing what we call education in emergencies. And we are also working hard to ensure that the quality we are looking for is achieved. But it is something that is going to take long. But again, I want us to be informed that I said this, that most of the teachers, majority are refugee teachers, yes. But again, those ones who have been retained, most of them have gone through teacher training called, no, that is like majority in KAKUMA went through diploma in teacher education at Masinde Muliro. You know, this is somebody who is having a background on education, pedagogical skills. He or she is informed on what is expected of him. And we are also bringing on board TSC compliant teachers. These are nationals who are supporting our refugee brothers, even at the school level, to ensure that there is an orientation, there is something like induction that is done even at the school level to ensure that the kind of education they are offering is to realize the quality of education we are looking for. But it's something we also want to confirm that we are not at 100 yet. Someone mentioned about learners with disability accessing a class, having more learners. And at some point, maybe this learner is having a wheelchair. How will this learner access? You know, our schools are inclusive. We don't have special units because we are talking of inclusive education, implementation of inclusive education. Colleagues, I also want to confirm to you that with the support of the Humanity and Inclusion, that is HI has employed teachers we call classroom support assistants. Their work is majorly to ensure that that learner who is having a special need in every class is supported. You know, I'm a teacher and I'm supporting learning here, but there is a teacher who is ensuring that that learner with a wheelchair, that learner who is having difficulty in writing or doing whatever is expected of him or her, is supported. So we are working hard to ensure that this is addressed. There was also another question on when you're having a lot of learners in class, will they really go home with some of these competencies acquired? Yeah, it's a challenge, but through the trainings we are having, we've equipped teachers with techniques on how to handle large classrooms. And on facilities, you talked about facilities might be overstretched. And each and every year, assessments are done by a number of partners, and we always prioritize schools as per the enrollment. As we speak right now, AMREF came on board, and it's constructing some of the latrines in schools. UNHCR is also supporting in constructing classes. So this is done as per the need. So an assessment is always done, confirm that this school is having a number of learners that cannot be handled by the classrooms that are in place, and construction is done by these needs. I heard somebody talking of vandalism being done by men only, especially on wash. I think this is a problem that is touching on piping of water. Colleagues, January, I personally caught 3 women vandalizing a pipe that is directing water to Kalobeye. You know, I was just going for my own monitoring. These are 3 women. They have a small pipe. They went to the main pipe and decided to at least tap water from that pipe. So I had to confiscate the pipe, and they decided to run away. So vandalism is not done only by men. Even women are doing it. So we need to share this information with the community members on the importance of not vandalizing water facilities. Now, I also want to confirm that you asked about some of the learners dropping out of school. Recently, after the placement of learners through the Elimu Scholarship, there was an advice from the officer in charge of education, that is Duale, UNHCR, asking schools to admit learners who have not been maybe given a scholarship by UN and JKF. And there was a communication from one of the partners that they want to support vulnerable learners. So how do you get vulnerable learners from the community? So this is something that we can get from the school. The heads of institutions, the principals were requested to share details of learners in school who are vulnerable. We are encouraging you to ask your brothers and sisters who are at home to find themselves in schools, because as we speak right now, nobody is being asked to stay away from school. Because admission in schools at the camp is an open door policy. Whether a child has uniform or not, that child is expected to go to school. And there is an aspect of, there is another question raised by my brother on nutrition. And I don't know whether, you know, at the camp level, I want to confirm that I also talked about it as far as the meals program is concerned. The schools in the camp are supported by the Ministry of Education through NAConnect. The schools in the camp are also supported by WFP, World Food Program. And the food basket is rice, beans, pulses, and vegetable, oil, and salt. So since I came to KAKUMA, since I started, I also started as a teacher, we've never had issues and challenges as far as meals are concerned. So on our side here, I think we are good and we are doing well. Maybe this is a challenge we are having on the other side, because back home we have some of our brothers who are also learning in the ECD centers down there. Right now they are going through a lot. Maybe the county government can work on it. Thank you.
Thank you. As you proceed, allow me to interject. We are past the time. We are very past the time, but I don't want to intervene. It's also a sharing of ideas, but let's pick on the key issues alone. 1 minute, just 1 minute, Mr. Kibet, and also give an opportunity to Madam Florence also. Just a minute, Mr. Kibet. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think for me, I will want just to give, and hopefully it will be my final comment. To be honest, let's also reflect on ourselves. Even with all these issues that we are asking ourselves, we need also to mirror the same what is happening by our government, even as we are looking at the refugee schools. As I had said, there are progressive measures that have been put by look at how do we advocate on some of these critical issues. For example, the county government say they have a provision of, I think if my memory serves me, food. with this food, how do we also lobby? We are talking of inclusive refugee response with regards to KISDEP, with regards to Shirika plan. How are the ECDs in the refugee camp also considered for this school's program? How do we link the refugees that you say they have dropped out with the opportunities in terms of bursary at the county government? So for me, I'm looking at how all of us collectively, how do we tap on these resources that exist to ensure that the refugees and the host communities are able to enjoy on the limited resources that are there. And it's a conversation that should be ongoing, and I know it won't stop at here, but let's expound and discuss further on how to support both the refugee and the host community within the Turkana West and Turkana community at large.
Thank you so much. Maybe I'll respond to the issue of registration of teachers regarding the refugee-led organizations. Actually, as at now, only teachers trained by the government can be registered by the commission. And as we had been told by LWF representative that we have almost 40 teachers, 34. They are undertaking their training at Bishop Mount Teachers Training College, and those ones will automatically be registered by the commission, and they'll be offered employment. Maybe later, and I cannot give you a surety, but as time goes on, when we will maybe come up with the last resolution with the Shirika plan, issue of KISDEP, that is when now we will put things in place. Yeah. We did not touch on safety of national teachers in the camp. Yeah. But this one, I think, it cuts across. I think our teachers are safe, though if there are issues, very, very minimal, because if it is reporting for work, they have been provided with transport. They are taken care of to and fro. They are being taken care of, unless maybe during their own times, when they go to maybe visit the camp at their own time, that's when now they come across these problems. But at the school level, we have not, as the office, we've not had any issues. Yeah. And if it is there at the school level, kindly, we will have a report. And the education partners will bear me. Yeah. Thank you so much. And the boy child is not left behind. The boy child also is being catered for. Because if the boy child accesses education, kitu gani ingine tena tunataka? Eh? Yes. You know, a girl child is very, very vulnerable. Very, very vulnerable. Even at home. Even at home, a girl child is vulnerable. But even at home, every child is treated equal. But you know, the needs of a girl
is different from the needs of a boy. So all children or all learners, regardless of gender, they are being taken care of. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again. I just want to give now a recommendations on a few things. Maybe I will not answer any questions that has been raised. I know my brother, when he speaks of a boy child, most of the time most of boys in the camp, they are not with their parents at home. Maybe you can find almost 10 of them. They are the same age and they are just by themselves at home. No one who is older than them and no one is taking care of them. So by themselves, they just, when it is morning, all of them, they go to school. No one remained at home so that it can prepare for them something. And even for them to get an parental advice, sometimes also it is difficult. As me, well, also I have grown up in such a situation. We were 5 at our home, the same age, but we were just different only. The person who we call him elder, when we have anything, he was 1 year old. Since he was 10 years up to this far. But I thank God that we have went through that process, though we have accepted the challenges and we have went through and we have done with educations and also we get further. That is just by the grace of God. Yeah, and another thing, and also we want to have a quality education. Ladies and gentlemen, it is good that we have the community also on board, mostly parents and also caregivers, so that they can also take part in discussions, especially in refugees, so that to know that what is going on in the school, maybe what we are discussing here, they are not aware that we are having crowded classes in a school, and also they are not aware that there is a shortage of funding. So sometimes maybe they can take it negatively, but it will be okay if we can involve the community leaders. We can also involve the RLOs to help in advocating some of the things that are going along in KAKUMA refugee camp. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have come to the end of our panel discussion. For the people who are not here yesterday, my name is Mohammed Ahmed. I have this tendency of introducing myself at the end of panel discussions because people are usually don't remember your name when panel discussions are heated. So when you say it at the end of the panel discussions, it becomes more memorable. That's my way. You can pick it if you want later. My name is Mohammed Ahmed. I'm the program manager at RCK for Legal Aid and Governance. I coordinate legal aid and governance activities across our Kenya offices. Very pleased to be here, and I will reiterate the same thing I did yesterday, and I'm happy that Madam Ruth also touched on it today in great detail. If you have not praised yourself with Article 43 of the Constitution, I think you're very late. Not Article 43 per se, but I think the second book you're supposed to be reading after the Quran or the Bible or the Torah is the Constitution of Kenya. Please and please, if there's anything else you can do with your free time, just read the Constitution. I think everyone else has a phone. You can have the app on your phone. Just read it and understand it, because you'll understand all the other laws better if you understand the supreme law of the land. And I think for everyone that is seated here in this room, we are beneficiaries of quality education to a certain degree. For some of us who are in the room, I know we're a bit older, so LWF and NRC and UNHCR maybe were not there. I'll not disclose people's ages, but maybe during that time, some people had this education purely through the government, and that's we appreciate that from the government. But now the government has support from partners in terms of education. So it's our only belief that education in terms of quality will be strengthened more than it ever was. And in terms of school feeding programs, infrastructure, all these things, I think we are moving in great strides. So it was happy to hear from you guys. If there's anything that you feel has been burnt and you haven't been able to address it, we are still taking recommendations, and you can approach any one of us, particularly our Akili there, Sifuna. You can approach her and just give her written recommendations. If you want to have it in word or by word of mouth, you can have a chit chat later. So I'll hand over the session officially back to our MC, who will guide us in the next process. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you.
Let's give them a round of applause as they leave the podium. That was quite something. That was quite a conversation. We are not going to relent. We still have one more session so that we can have a little bit of a break. But I see Manuel Awal, Manbon Awan Malual. I'm the only one who can pronounce that. It's a bit gloomy, so I'll call my colleague Moses to do one or two.
Good afternoon. My name is Moreidi or Moses. I'm in the mental health department of RCK. Yeah? Now, how many of us went to nursery school? These days it's called ECD, right? During our time it was called nursery school. There was a game we used to play, and it was a very lovely game to show us how active and how keen we are. So I would like to request all of us to stand up. And I want all of us to forget the title that we hold in this country, in this community, wherever you come from. Are we able to do that? We forget any title that you have so that we can all participate in this as equal partners, okay? Now, this game was about food. Yes, it was about food, the kind of foods that we eat. So depending on where you come from, depending on the culture you come from, we are going to address some of the foods that we eat. So if I mention a food that you eat, you jump. And if you jump to a food that is not eaten, what punishment do we give you? Oh, you sit down. That is not a punishment. Yeah, sitting down is not a punishment. They will dance for us. Ah, yeah, sawa. So we'll be my referee to check those who are failing. The MC will check for me those who are failing, okay? So anybody who doesn't understand Swahili? Ah, that's better. So now we are going to have culprits very fast. So it goes like this. I will say nyama, nyama, nyama. Nyama, nyama, nyama. Nyama means meat. So we say meat, meat, meat. Let's do a dry run, right? Nyama, nyama, nyama. Nyama, nyama, nyama. Ya kuku. Ya ng'ombe. Ya nyoka. He's saying it is possible. Aya. Nyama, nyama, nyama. Ya kuku. Ya bata. Ya ngamia. Ya binadamu. You guys are not jumping. Mnafanya hivi. Nyama, nyama, nyama. Ya mtu. Ya chura. Tuko pamoja? At least tuchangamke kidogo. We've been sitting for a very long time, right? One final thing. Sifuna, What is your favorite domesticated animal? Cat. Aya. What is your favorite domesticated animal? A dog. Let's come here. What is your favorite domesticated animal? Give another one. He said dog, cat. A duck. Okay. Now, this corner, we don't know any other language. We only know how to speak like a cat. Until here. So all of us, how does a cat speak? How does a cat speak? So we are all cats. Until here. No, you will be on this side. So until here, no, I did not say we are dogs. You are the one who has said it. And this other side, we are ducks. How does a duck speak? Quack, 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 quack. Quack, 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 quack. A dog? And a cat we had, right? So now we are going to sing a song. And we are going to sing a song as those animals. Sawa sawa. A very simple song. A song that I believe all of us know. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Moses. Happy birthday to you. Now, cats, how are you going to sing? Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Ma. Haya, hapa ndio iko kazi. How are you going to sing as dogs? Goo, 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 goo. Goo, 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 goo. Haya. And the ducks? Quack, 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 quack. Higher. Now here is the twist. We are going to start with the ducks. They sing the first line. As they go to their second line, we come to dogs. They start with their first line. As the dogs go to their second line, we go to the cats. They start. Huh? You want us to choose another pet? Which one? A snake. Is a snake okay for this team? Huh? Or they can use a cow? Moo, 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 moo. That one is easier. Higher. So we start with the ducks. Higher, 1, 2, go. Nyinyi mumepotea, nyinyi mumepotea. You continue, don't follow them. You sing your own. We start again with the ducks.
Meow, meow.
Now you can go imagine how your children will be feeling if your children saw you doing that. Thank you guys for your cooperation.
Thank you so much, Moses. That was a bit lively. Now, we are going to what we refer to this as a fireside. This is the last part of the presentations, and we are just picking up from where the plenary session, the panelists left. So most of the discussions will be centered on education as a pathway to self-reliance and stability. We all agree that the box at the center is the fire, right? And now we are going to light the fire in our heads. So you have to ask the hard questions. Let's deliberate, and let's make this the best out of the discussions. For this session, it will be led by Shadrach. Shadrach Kuyo is our manager on research and knowledge management. Clap as he comes to the podium.
All right. Thank you so much, Enoch. All protocols observed. I think personally I'll also reintroduce myself at the end of the session. A reason being Enoch has done quite a good work in introducing myself. Again, as the name suggests, the fireside chat, it's more of shooting your shot, yeah, with regard to the tough questions that you have and the solutions that we want to propose. So it's not about presenting the problems, but also looking at the solutions that we have. And perhaps to start us off, based on the panel discussion that was taking place here, I actually related it more to the 3 A's and 1 Q approach. That is the availability, accessibility, what's the other one? Acceptability and quality. All right, how available are our educational policies? How available are our structural, let me say, implementation frameworks, and how best are these particular structures being accessed by the refugees and the host communities? Then with regard to accessibility, do they know about the existence of these policies, both at the stakeholders level and the client level, in this case, the students? Do they know about the various programs that we are running as a whole of government, whole of NGO approach, whole of society approach? Then with regard to acceptability, how culturally sound, let's say, are our, let me say, educational system? Are we taking into consideration the cultural and societal perspectives that are grounded here in KAKUMA? And how are we ingraining the same in our systems? Then quality, I think I won't belabor much on that. A reason being, we've talked about the student-teacher ratios. We've talked about the, let me say, the financial access and how available are those finances. So perhaps to start us off with the tough question, I had one. I had several, but I'll pick one. Then we can deliberate on that. Then we move to the next. As far as my day-to-day duties are concerned, I interact a lot with the beneficiaries, stakeholders at different levels. And so one of the critical things that keep emanating with regard to access to education and skills transfer, it's acceptability of students coming in from different countries to join our educational system. How recognizable are their documentation? So what I'm leading to is what we call the assessment number requirement. Yes, we did a little of empirical study last year. We are finalizing on the same. And one of the critical things that were coming up from the refugees that are learning here and are practicing here, it's that if you leave another country to join Kenya's educational system, you have to start at 3rd grade. Is that the practice? LWF? Yes. And this is linked to the assessment number requirement. So do you mind just perhaps explaining the policy perspective grounding of this and how best we could approach this to ensure that we actually recognize the prior learning modalities that these people bring from their country of origin? And this is open to anyone else.
It's okay. I think the representative from the County Director of Education's office is here, but I just want to respond in this way. Ideally, the only grade a learner can get an assessment is grade 3. And for you to go through this, the current CBC system, you must have an assessment. Because we are talking of a learner going through a lower grade system, that is 3 years, grade 1, grade 2, and in grade 3, they are registered. And the moment this learner is registered, this learner secures an assessment number that he or she will use as long as he or she will be within Kenya, the Kenyan education system. That is the number that learner will be using throughout. And the only grade you can get that assessment is grade 3. Once a learner is done with the 3 years in lower grade, this learner sits for a national assessment. And this national assessment, there are scores. And these scores are uploaded in the NEC portal. There is a competency-based assessment that is done, and it's uploaded to the NEC portal that contributes to some scores once this learner sits for the KIPSEA assessment. And then once this learner is done with grade 3, he or she transits to grade 4, grade 5, and then once he or she gets to grade 6, they are also registered there. And the registration is done using the same assessment number. Remember, the assessment this learner did there contributes some scores at the grade 6 level. And once this learner is done with the KIPSEA assessment, that is for grade 6, this learner will transit to grade 7, grade 8. And then this learner will also sit for KIGSEA, Kenya Junior School Education Assessment. And the same assessment number is still in use here. So, I don't know, maybe the Ministry of Education will support us in understanding maybe how we can support these other learners. But we are having challenges currently. A good number of students who are coming to our schools, most of them are over age. And you know, with NRC, through the Accelerated Education Program, we are having level 1 and level 2. And they also reach out to us because most of the accelerated programs are also mainstreamed in our schools so that these learners are registered. As much as they are taking their studies in this accelerated education program, they have the assessment number. But when a learner comes to school and wants to be admitted to school, and this is an overage learner, at some point, there is nothing you can do. Our hands are tied. And maybe the officer from the Ministry of Education can come in and maybe say something.
All right, as the government comes in, perhaps if you can tie it to there are very many progressive laws that we have in Kenya currently, both at national and at the county level, as the county attorney had indicated. There is the basic education, of course, there is the Early Education Act, 2021, fairly new. The basic education, I don't know what's the thought of the government with regard to its application. Does it have to maybe capture the modalities that also regulates on the refugees specifically? And close to that, at the county level, we also have the Turkana County Education and Skills Development Act. County Attorney, I don't know if it's still there. It was repealed.
And that's why we created the Turkana County Education Fund.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Regarding the issue of overage, it's subject to discussion because most of the overage learners are found in the refugee camps. And because they cannot be denied the right to education. That's why most education partners come up with the accelerated education programs, and there is a discussion about that, how we can assist these learners later in the future. Yeah, but we enroll them because that's why we identify schools which can accommodate these learners, like the 12 centers, both in the host community and the refugee community. But maybe now the challenge, maybe there is a challenge maybe in other sub-counties, but here in Turkana West, we are addressing the issue of overage learners accessing education. Yeah.
Right, thank you.
And maybe the issue of the policies, the government and the county government work together. That's why we have the County Education Board, where the Ministry of Education, TAC, and the county government collaborate and coordinate. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much. And I think this is a very interesting question being asked. Despite NRC implementing non-formal education, which is more of levels, there is level 1, which encompasses grade 1 and 2, and then there's level 2, which is a standalone grade 3 because of the examination, and then level 3, which is grade 4 and 5, and going forward. One of the critical issues that we've been able to identify is what we are discussing now. You'll get a learner who comes in. We do competency-based exams when they are being enrolled, which help us in terms of the placements. Where do we place this learner, under which specific level? And you realize that there are some learners who will want to go directly maybe up to level 3. And for level 3, it means they will have bypassed level 2, which needs for them to have sat for the exams under the grade 3. One of the key things that we've also been able to do as an organization is to advocate on some of these policies. The context at which we are operating as in the refugee camp is a bit different from what is happening nationally. The assumption is that all learners, irrespective of your performance, what you've done, the government, with regards to the policies, all learners are in school. But consideration for the refugee schools were not put in place, recognizing that there are overage, out-of-school children, new arrivals who are coming, they need to be placed into specific school. As she had mentioned, it's a plea that we've discussed even with the County Education Board. And from what I gathered, and this I'm speaking from an ignorant point of view, which has not been certified, so don't go and quote and say Kibet said this. From what I gathered, there is a formality which the ministry considered such learners as long as there is proof and application, where they are able to open, and this is purely from the sub-county director, county director, up to the national level, where a portal is open and they consider such learners. But it is a process which needs a lot of documentation and support for them to be considered based on those placement assessment. This is what I've gathered, and I think from the information I've received, I think it's something that is possible, but possibly it's not out of the public domain, and that's why people, because the reason why this is there, it's to encourage people not to go to shortcut, but to follow the entire system of education for them to achieve. But we recognize our context and some of the challenges that are there. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Kibet.
Yeah, thank you so much. Without repeating much, just wanted to emphasize that the number of adults who really want to go back to school, you visit these receptions, is very high. And the best that can happen, giving example with the 844 system, we used a qualifying test that student would come from their hosting countries, even in Form 3, and we would have them registered for qualifying tests, take them to road where they do the exam, and in the following year we register them for KCSE. That has been the tradition. I just wanted to beg the government to really consider that, because we are having a very high appetite for education, but the CBE is quite, has not yet responded to that gap, thereby frustrating very many youths who want to go back to school. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that contribution. The floor is open for any other question. All right.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Omondi, working with Humanity and Inclusion. As far as inclusion is concerned, personally, I'll go direct to support to persons or children with disabilities. And I'll refer to the sector policy for learners and trainees with disabilities 2018. I will say that the government, in fact, it's a question to the government, how far are we when it comes to implementing of these sector policy, and to be specific when it comes to recognition of learner support assistance? Because with learner support assistance, I know it will make things easier for children with disabilities as well to be at par with other learners in several schools. Then something else, and this one is more of food for thought for all of us. It's, you're all aware that Equity Bank is supporting youth. That is, it's implementing a program on behalf of the ministry and the World Bank, that is Wings to Fly and Elimu programs. So recently they were conducting a biometric verification in schools, and it's a process that it's ongoing. And as much as we say that youth have high appetite for education, and we're also using education as a pathway to self-reliance, it was noted that there's a high dropout of youth who are being supported through these scholarships. A good example is one of the schools that has a record of 271 learners. It was noted that currently that school only has 120 learners who are in that school. The rest of the learners have already dropped out. What's happening with all this support that is available? Yet we are talking about we don't have enough resources, youth are not being supported. So this is food for thought. Where is the problem? Where have we gone wrong? Is it the parents? Is it the caregivers? Is it the government? Or the implementing partners? Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. Where have we gone wrong? Any answer, response on the floor?
My name is Saremon. I am not giving an answer to the question posed. Rather, I just want to comment on what our good friend from NRC spoke about. And I think it's on inclusion. And I'm looking at the decisions that we made, especially with refugees, where, for example, refugees were not able to register SIM cards and so many other things. For example, they could not access e-citizen services, but there were certain steps that were taken by the government to enable this. And I'm looking at the scenario that we're talking about. especially about the issue of education on entry level, where you get the number and so on. Could you also have an approach, the same as that, where we have a challenge like that, where perhaps we need to go back on the policies that we've made before the conversation of inclusion started, so that we go back on some of the things that have become a challenge for inclusion or integration to take place. And I'm also looking at what was talked about, some schools by the host communities, not well, no good facilities compared to those of refugees. And I'm looking at partners, not just focusing on the refugees alone, but now also they need to look at the plight of the host. The same way the government is moving from looking at the host issue and looking at the refugees through inclusion. Should we also have a shift on how we have been doing things so that we are able to address the issue of inclusivity on both sides? Because if you just focus on government alone, yet one side is already ahead of one, I think we need to shift the post so that we attack it on both sides.
All right. Any other contribution?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Because we are winding up, I would like just to say with regards to health, I would like to say that the government has shown goodwill. And for health, there is not a lot of livelihood interventions that health can tap into. But we are happy that we have the Social Health Authority that now is offering a wide opportunity for citizens of Kenya. And so with regards to refugees, we can be able to advocate at our various levels for them to be included into the, to be registered, to access registration so that they can benefit. But then again, also to partners who are here, that health should be a protected function, that because of disasters that happen cyclic in this region, we should have a cushion fund so that we don't entirely leave it to development, but also have some of the policies protecting the function so that there is no, we prevent the outbreaks that are prone in this area. And then again, number two is to just maybe advocate for the youths, because we have a lot of youthful population, and I'm happy that we have youth refugee-led organizations that are represented here, and I'm happy that we have even for Kalobeye. So what is your role? You bear a very important task at this time because resources are limited. But then again, you need to go to the grassroots at the community level and ensure that the community is tapping into what is existing. Like, for example, there is poor health-seeking behavior. But then again, we have refugee-led organization, which is a youthful organization that is talking about reproductive health, matters of GBV. Then we know the root causes of these harmful health practices. Alcoholism, issues of mental health because of the harmful coping behavior where people are buying drugs, which is very expensive, and injecting themselves, and it's a youthful population. So you bear a very important role in the community to be able to mobilize the community to be able to adopt healthy seeking behavior and healthy coping mechanisms so that we can have a vibrant community that can be able to take care of itself, because we are talking of resilience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again for the chance given. What the last speaker said, that is also what I was to speak of, about who are the failure in some of the circumstances pertaining persons with disability and the dropouts. Indeed, here, as what we have said before, most of the engagements, they are being done with a few people and also with the people that are not involved in the community that you are speaking of, which it becomes some of the challenges. And it is good that also to bring the RLOs, as what she has said, on board, so that we can also, they can also support in advocating for the effects, especially of drug abuse and also of a school dropout. And also identifying persons with disability who are hidden at their homes and they are not given education, or they are not accessing educations. You know, in the community, in Kakuma refugee camp, sometimes it is very difficult to have the full details or to full informations when you are not familiar to the people, because most of them, they have come from the places where there everyone stays and keep their things because of fear. And so they cannot be able to expose what they're going through. It is just because you are a stranger to them. But if you have tried the community leaders to engage with them, and also to guide the youths and to direct them on the right track, I think that one, it will be also helpful. We can also focus on the parental, community leaders, focus group discussion, and also they can also bring in the youth's representative, that they can be also in such a forum, so that you can also to achieve better life for any person who has dropped out or who have refused to go to school. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Any other question, contribution on the floor before we close up the session? Just in case, I don't want to lock anyone out. Going once.
Thank you once again. I just feel that it's important to mention this thing as well when we are speaking about education, especially now when it comes to access for all that is in Turkana County. There's a principal by the name Reku or Reshu, depending with the nursery school that you attended. So Reku basically stands for reach, enter, circulate, then use. When we are talking about education, are the children able to reach these schools that we are referring to? How are the accessibility features right away from home? If children are not able to reach these schools, then that means we'll not be able to provide quality or accessible education to all. Then enter. After children are able to, let's say, access or reach the school, how will they enter? We are talking about our entrances and exits. Are our children able to enter these institutions, whether at the ECD or even primary, or even the higher levels of education? If they are not able to enter, trust me, we will not achieve inclusive education or education for all. Then circulating, yes, if you are given a chance or you are able to circulate in this institution, are you able to use them? Yes, you have reached, you have entered. You are circulating. How are you able to use them? We are looking at the capacity of the teachers, something that has well been addressed by our panelists. Are they capacity built to be able to support these learners to use all the available resources that are there in our institutions? If we are failing to do that or to cover that aspect, then trust me, we'll still lag behind in terms of achieving inclusive education for all. And this one, remember, is not just for persons with disabilities, but for all. We are talking about the refugees, we are talking about children in the host communities, we are talking about the teenage mothers, and everyone who is at the age of accessing education. I thought it's important for all of us to know as we continue pushing and supporting inclusive or education for all in our county. Thank you so much, and back to you.
All right, thank you so much for that. I think going per the mood of this particular forum, it's only right that we post there. Any other question that will be coming up, we'll do it at 3 when we resume here. So for now, the recommendations, any sort of, let me say, arguments that you want to tender, we'll pick it up from 3. So for now, let's call it a halt. We go have our lunch at the normal place. Then we reconverge here at 3, right? Yeah, at 3. Asanteni sana, and do have a lovely afternoon and a lovely lunch. Thank you. Oh yeah, and at 3 I'm being reminded that it will only reconverge for 30 minutes maximum, then we'll call it a day. Asanteni sana.